You're listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast.
You're listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast. My name is Sean Wilkie, and along with my awesome co host, we interview the innovators in this space every week. Excited to have a veteran back on the show. Ivan, please go ahead and get us started.
Veteran. That sounds bad. Veteran.
Okay, well, we can do it again.
No, that's good. Let's keep
Such an
going.
asshole.
I'm excited to introduce a colleague of mine, Dr. Stephanie Morley. Dr. Morley is a serial veterinary entrepreneur and card president of Vetlen. Having practiced small animal medicine and surgery early in her career, she has leveraged that experience to bring innovative products to the veterinary industry that Stephanie believes elevate the standards of care in the ways that are practical for veterinarians. Dr. Morley is motivated to do whatever it takes to empower vets with the best tools for the greatest success. Stephanie, welcome to the show. Thank you for finding the time.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Vetlen and what, so that's the company. What product are you representing today?
Yeah, so we are pre-launch. We're launching later this summer, but our device is a really revolutionary new local drug delivery device. So it is a pouch that is placed into a surgical site with an exteriorized catheter, and that pouch has a rate-controlled membrane. So it allows you to refresh the pouch on a daily basis with fresh antibiotics for local drug delivery. And when you are done with the treatment, it is pulled just like a surgical drain.
So you showed it to us here, and since it's a podcast, I'm going to describe what I saw so people can visualize it. So it's sort of like a Jackson Pratt, if you will, drain that you pull. So do you put it right in the surgical site? Is it any surgical site? Is it XLAP? Is it an abscess repair? Is it the orthopedics, or all of the above?
All of the above. All of our data thus far have been in orthopedic procedures with hardware. But we've had several pouches out. We have quite a few pouches out now for beta use, and surgeons who have been using those, it's primarily been for traumatic wounds.
Okay.
Stephanie, a couple questions, a bunch of questions. But first, I want to get the origin story. So last time you were here, we were talking about another company that you were helping lift off the ground. It seems like you might have a bit of an affinity to starting companies and getting them going. So how did this one all come about?
Yeah, good question. I do have an affinity for that. And I think my bio kind of touched on that. I really just like to find products I know I would have used in practice and that I think are really practically effective to making practice better for veterinarians and ultimately improve the care of their patients. So with this company, because I've kind of established a reputation in the biomed sector, both human and animal, as someone who likes to look at technologies being made for the human sector and see if they have application in veterinary medicine. One of my contacts reached out to me, and she was working with this company who was developing this product for human medicine. And all of the work that they did, preclinical work, has been in sheep. And so the data is really, really compelling. Very robust research models using fracture models with MRSA infected hardware and implanting this pouch, which has proven to perform better than systemic antibiotics or antibiotic impregnated beads. And so it was really compelling data. And so I thought, that's good. It's a product with data behind it. That's really important to me. And then two, it had application. It's a simple and elegant solution to something that really hasn't had innovation in decades. We all know blood vasculature is compromised in traumatic wounds. Inflammation in surgical sites can reduce the ability for systemic antibiotics to reach those sites in levels necessary to treat infection, particularly biofilm infections. And this pouch has data to show that it can do that. And so that intrigued me. The team itself, like I said, it's being developed for the human sector as well. Just a tremendous group of engineers with great integrity. And they've received over $9 million in DoD funding. So there's significant interest in developing this for battlefield application. And I just thought it just was kind of hit all the boxes for me to say, yeah, I think this one belongs in the hands of veterinarians and they'll benefit from it. So I decided to take it on.
Cool. And how long ago was that? And where are you guys at on the road? And what's the road ahead look like?
Yeah. I wish I could see, but I know it's going to be wonderful. That was last fall for me. So I've been, Vetlen really has been around for less than a year. So And we'll be launching in August of this year, if knock on wood, everything goes according to plan, because we are a startup. And really right now what we're doing is building awareness. So we're redoing our website and just starting to get our socials up. So hopefully by the time your listeners hear this, they could actually go out there and start finding us and following us. And then the human company, that product is on the way through the FDA. They received breakthrough device designation from the FDA, which it doesn't guarantee an approval, but it shows that there's a need that they're filling, and the FDA recognizes that. So they're on their way, but they're several years away from being able to be on market. So I have a secret. It's not so secret, but I have a love of being able to get products to veterinarians before MD counterparts get them. That doesn't happen very often in our sector. It tends to be, it's been in human medicine for decades, and then they try to tell us it's revolutionary and groundbreaking. And now that I've been on both sides of that coin, I know that that's the truth. And so I really like to find these things that I think are helpful for all of humankind and animal kind, but why can't the veterinarians get it at the same time, or maybe even before the MDs do? So that'll be the case with this one.
I like it.
So I'm looking at this device. So again, kind of describing it like a Jackson Pratt, but not for the eliminating things, but to deliver things back into the surgical site. And it really reminds me my first vet school in Ukraine, where we used to, and I laugh about it now, but it kind of drives that memory again, that we used to sprinkle a little bit of a powdered antibiotic into the wound. And when I was mentioning that to some people in North America, people were making fun of me. And I'm looking at it as like, isn't that what we're doing here? So it seems like, and it's not at one time as you would do during surgery, but what's your opinion, I guess, on that approach in the past, that we're bringing something similar back and that was not so stupid? And the second question, more sort of on the actual application, is it in addition to systemic antibiotics? Is it instead? What's the dosing? Do you reduce the systemic? Just all kind of like a medicine application of it, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course. First of all, no, you're not. That wasn't stupid to do. That actually, a lot of the market research that was done for this product obviously was done with human orthopedic surgeons before they decided to go into veterinary medicine. And that is a common practice in human orthopedic surgery. They were surprised, me and engineers, when they started talking to veterinarians, that more veterinarians don't do that, at least in North America. So you are not off base for having been taught to do that at all. But the limitations of anything, it was sprinkling antibiotic powders in there, antibiotic infusions, those things all have the potential. It's a one-time dose, right? And then anything where you have like other current opportunities now would be calcium sulfate impregnated beads or PMMA impregnated beads. Those have the same issue in that they're going to elute that drug in a very, relatively quick amount of time, and potentially could serve as a nidus or infection when they remain in the wound and no longer have antibiotic eluting from them. So, that's really what we're not reinventing the idea of putting antibiotics locally or directly into a wound. What this is really doing is allowing control for the veterinarian to say, not just when do I dose, but what do I dose with? For example, you go into a surgical site, you culture the site, you place the pouch, and you start dosing with one antibiotic, and your culture comes back and suggests you should change it. You have the flexibility to do that. So as far as replacing systemic, we are a local drug delivery device. So it's still up to the clinician to determine which antibiotics should be used. Most of the veterinarians we've talked to, they're going to rely on cultures if it's an already infected wound. If it's a preventative solution, then they can go with whatever they're accustomed to using. The only limitations with the device is that it has to be a water-soluble antibiotic, and it has to be an antibiotic that's already approved for IM or sub-Q administration, because it's going to be dosed directly into the tissues. So the things we've dosed through it have been mostly aminoglycosides and lidocaine. So we have placed lidocaine in the pouch actually for prior to removal, which we've had plenty of patients that have had this used where they didn't do that prior to removal and the animals didn't react upon removal. But it does dose lidocaine effectively as well. So in theory, any small molecule that's water soluble, it's IM or sub-Q approved, in theory could elute through this membrane effectively and be dosed locally.
So interesting. and I understood about half of what you said. So, so it's kind of cool, being a non-veterinarian.
Yeah.
But Stephanie, a couple questions for you, more on like how do you bring a product like this to market? Like so, I think like the channels like distribution, direct, like all of these things, and it's a brand new product that people don't know about. And then, so that's just a selfish question that I think maybe other people would like to know the answer to. And then the second question is, if people want to learn more about this, you guys have a promo, and I think you should tell our audience about that because I'm sure people are interested.
Yeah. So it's actually kind of the questions kind of, are a similar answer. So we are a robust team of 2 people. So it's really important to me as a veterinarian that I want to make sure we have robust data behind a product that we're saying works. I want to know that we're solving a problem for our veterinary clients. And I also want to make sure that it stays as cost effective as possible. So things like sales forces are expensive. Distribution can add costs to a product. So we are attempting to do this using what I consider a naturally networked industry like veterinary medicine. I know from personal experience as a veterinarian, I either use the things that my professors taught me how to use in vet school, or I would try something if I talked to another vet that I trusted that had used it and liked it. And quite honestly, early on, Vin was like my mentor. So my first year in practice was a really bad year. That's a whole nother story, but Vin became very important to me. So if it's being talked about positively on Vin, and if I'm hearing other veterinarians and other colleagues using it, then I'm willing to try it. I still want data behind it, but I really want to know other vets are using it and liking it. So we're going to try to leverage that. So we are really leveraging social media. We'll be at as many shows as we can afford to be at, but we're going to be leveraging social media and asking veterinarians to try the product and to tell others about it. So when we first launch, come this summer, we have a free pouch for anyone who wants to try it. So they can go to our website, which is just vetlen.com. And they can sign up for a free pouch. And when we launch, we will send them one. And then all we ask and for return is to tell others about it. And so that program, if you will, we're calling it Vouch for the Pouch. So essentially just asking veterinarians to try it. If you like it, tell other veterinarians about it. And we're actually going to have an affiliate program. So if we have veterinarians who like it so much, they're willing to sign up and get a coupon, then when they share that coupon, it's going to get a free pouch to anyone they share it to and they use it. And when they use that coupon, then they're not going to get a commission, but they're going to get basically a repository of funds that they can donate to one of the 3 charities that we've identified. And those will all be veterinary related charities. So it's just kind of keeping it all within the veterinary population.
And as we talked about this before the episode, anybody who's listening to this podcast and reaches under the seat right now, they will find it attached to it, a free pouch.
Yeah.
I
wish I could make that happen.
There's also subscription to Talkative.
So, there you go.
Question on the practical application. So, because I'm hearing this, I'm just thinking, okay, well, it sounds like orthopedic surgeons will use it, but I'm building urgent cares. What's the best application? Because you mentioned preventative, but then you also mentioned culture. What would you just, practically cases that I can see on day to day, let's say for urgent care emergency, or even for GPs, like what cases would be like compelling to say, can I see the pouch for this procedure?
Yeah, so it's a great question. I think from the emergency and GP side of things, bite wounds, any traumatic, cutaneous, subcutaneous abscess, anywhere where you want to ensure that you're getting a local antibiotic delivery, and particularly the flexibility to be able to change that. If you have an animal that you don't want to use systemic antibiotics for any reason, then or you want to, do potentially like a cefazolin or cephalosporin systemically and do an aminoglycoside locally because you're worried about renal compromise, then it gives you the flexibility to do that. We have had, in all of our market research and talking to all the veterinarians we've talked to, I think every time I go to a show or get it with a group of veterinarians and talk to them about how they could use it, so they come up with new ideas every time. I've had quite a few people interested in a lidocaine opportunity, like where could they potentially use this, where it could give redosing the opportunity for pain relief. We've had a few oncologists that have expressed interest in local oncology delivery for local chemotherapy. Again, all of these things are these are data points I don't have to back up the claim, so I'm not going to say use it for these purposes. As I said in the beginning of the show, it's super important to me that we have data to back up what we're saying. And the data we have so far is MRSA infected hardware, and it worked. So that's a pretty good use case for canine and equine surgeons. But I'm excited to keep getting use cases from other veterinarians trying it for different things. We have a multi-site clinical trial going on with dogs. We're going to be kicking off an equine study here, hopefully in the next few weeks. So we're going to keep doing clinical trials to prove different use cases. Like I said, I have beta pouches out that are being used for whatever use case those veterinarians deem them appropriate. And we'll just keep accumulating data and showing new use cases for it. And we're also, right now, our go-to-market size is, I think, probably most effective for large and giant breed dogs and horses. But we will be developing additional sizes next year, one being smaller and one being larger. So that hopefully will help open up that opportunity for additional small animal veterinarians to adopt it. And then obviously for equine for larger wounds.
Excellent. Well, just to reiterate, so where, I know you're just launching the website, but do you have the domain so people can check it out when they listen to it, and which conferences you're going to so they can check it out? And how do they, again, can vouch for Pouch? So,
yeah, thank you. So we're at www.vetlen.com. It's VETLEN. And on that website, we have the sign up for a free pouch. You can do that anytime. And when we launch, we will get one to you. There's also a research grant that we have. We have 4 $5,000 resident awards for any resident that's currently interested in using our pouch in their research. We will provide them with free pouches as well as $5,000. So application for that is on our website. And we will be at AVMA next month. And then we will be at AAEP in December. And I feel like, we'll be at ACVS in October. And then next year we'll be at even more shows. So
That's awesome. Super exciting. Well, I look forward to seeing you live at AVMA because I'll be there as well. And we ran out of time like we do every single episode. So a couple questions that maybe you're familiar with from last time. But the first is the first is a YouTube video, a book, something that you found inspiring along your career so far that you'd like to share with the audience.
yeah, I'll keep it short because I didn't realize it till after I said this to you guys, but this is the same thing I said when I interviewed with you guys years ago. So I use it too often, obviously, but it's the lone guy dancing on the hill. And I love that video, and Vouch for the Pouch is kind of a perfect like illustration of that, is that it just takes one person to try something, but that's not going to create a movement. It takes a second person brave enough to stand up with the first person. And then before you know it, everyone's doing the same thing. And I love that video. But I also preface that with, I know it's really old and I know I've said this before, but 1, that means I'm consistent. 2, it means it was really valuable. And 3, I just have too many kids right now in high school to have time to like really read or watch anything. So
makes sense. The second question that we ask, is there a guest that we could invite to this podcast that you think would be interesting?
Yeah, you guys have had so many amazing people on. I had to kind of think about this one, but I said Dr. Steve Mailer. He is a fellow Michigan State grad, and he is a veterinary surgeon who has done a lot of things outside of just veterinary surgery, multiple different startups, and really kind of helping get innovative products into veterinary medicine. And so I think he'd be a really interesting person to talk to.
Thank you so much for listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast. If you want to hear about our new episodes, please follow us on any social media channel. Also, you can check out our website at veterinaryinnovationpodcast.com. See you next week.